having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP. We help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight.
Forget about the crowd. It's the size of the school. Their fancy uniforms. And remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing.
It's down to the wire with Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
Oh, Petey!
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Mr. Speedy Petey. As you guys know, remember, you can call us at 631-965-4990. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com and download our app, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have it, iOS, WWSRN, or do this. It's very simple. Go to your Android and put in Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Download our app. It is great, not only for the fans, but for everybody. If you like to read stories, you like sports stories, you like to listen to our show, you like to watch our show, anything that you want to do, and you can check out all our shows. You go to our show page and you hit our shows. You can dial up and find every single one of our shows. So, guys, the app is for you guys. It was made for you guys. Download the app. That's all I'm going to say about that. Speedy Petey, how was your weekend, man?
It was good. I visited my cousins. We had our first campfire of the year and played a little football. Had a lot of fun. And also...
You played football?
I played 2-on-2, essentially.
I mean, how much do you weigh? Could you run?
Somewhat, but not.
Could you catch the ball?
Well.
Are you good at catching the ball?
I'm better as a corner, but I can catch the ball.
Oh, you're a corner now, so you hang like a magnet.
Like whenever my family played football, I was always I was the corner and the receiver at times.
So we all know you're a receiver.
Yeah.
You are. You like to take it.
But,
you know.
But my brothers, for the most part, were faster. So that's what it was. Also, a shout out to my youngest cousin, Sebastian. It is his 12th birthday today.
Happy birthday. We got birthdays, and we've got a lot to talk about today. And we have a great show lined up for you. At 6:30, we'll be talking to former Wisconsin Badger punter Connor Allen. And at 7:15, we'll be talking to Tennessee Volunteers football offensive and defensive tackle recruit Colby Smith. I just want to give a shout out to all the fans out there. I will not be here for the last hour of the show. We will have Mark Kelly Everett joining with Speedy Petey. He will be doing the interviews with Colby and all the different things that they're going to be talking about in the second hour of the show. I'd like to apologize. I will be back full-fledged tomorrow on our show, but I have a lot of stuff going on. I almost said a bad word, but I have a lot of stuff going on. Just say that for our network, and it's a lot of importance for me to be on the phone and make sure I get these calls. So I will not be on for the second hour. It will be Mark Everett and Mr. Speedy Petey. But the first topic I really want to get into is the topic that everybody's been talking about throughout the country and throughout the world is Cam Newton. And I told everybody from day one that I wouldn't be so surprised that by the end of the draft, if he's not signed by anybody, that somehow or some way, Bill Belichick will have his way with somewhat of the free agency market. And he did. Cam Newton signs a one-year deal yesterday with the Patriots. With the incentives, he's going to get up to $7.5 million for 1-year contract, which is a steal for a guy that won an MVP in 2015 and only got hurt, what was it, a year and a half ago? And he's now 100% healthy. Everything that I've read, all the different workouts that I've seen on the internet, this guy is all ready to go. He's going to prove to everybody that this guy could play on the field. And I'm going to tell you right now, for all the Jet fans, all the Buffalo Bill fans, and all the Miami fans, I would not be happy right now knowing that Cam Newton now is in the same division, and to me, he has a lot to prove right now. He has a lot to prove because he wants that big contract, and if he has an outstanding year with the New England Patriots, not only will the New England Patriots might sign him, there'll be other teams lined up ready and willing to sign a 31-year-old ex-MVP candidate he won the MVP in 2015.
And let's not forget, too, in 2017 and also the first half or so of 2018 before he got hurt, he was playing at that level, too. I think his numbers in 2018 were right on pace with his MVP year, obviously, until he regressed a little and then we found out he got hurt. So let's not forget that either. Now, it'll be interesting to see on both ends of it, with Belichick and with Cam Newton. Both are different in terms of what they faced before, so that'll be interesting.
Speedy, is there not one day you're not trying to knock off your mic because you can't do two things at once? Who do we have on the phone? Who are we speaking to? Oh my God, you are as dumb as they look. I swear, man. There it is, Speedy. What the heck is wrong with you? Jeez, man. Jesus. I'll tell you this right now. I will tell you this right now. This guy who's a producer that works on the phones and the mixer, and I know this is Brian Snow. I would willing to bet it's Brian Snow.
I heard the laugh.
Be
right
quiet.
away.
Be quiet. I don't want you speaking because you're an idiot. You need to learn how to work the system, because if you can't do that, you can't do anything. Brian, what's going on, man?
Do you trust Speedy Petey to work the phones?
I want Speedy Petey to do his job, which sometimes he doesn't know how to do. So, unfortunately, I have to do two jobs at once and worry about if he's going to knock his mic on the ground, which is the second time in about a week and a half he tried to do that. So, Brian, what would you like to talk about?
Well, one, I get to pick on Pete because I haven't picked on him in a while. I'll do that in a moment. And two,
Yes, you do that a lot. Go ahead.
Yes, you know I do that a lot. And two, as much as I would like to think that the deal that Cam Newton got for the Patriots is good, and on the peripherals it looks good, I'm going to wait until August to render my judgment on it. Because I'll say it looks good. He got a hell of a deal for 1 year. And you're right, Errol. He does have a lot to prove. But there is a niggling question in the back of my brain. And you know how I am with my research, and you know how I am looking at all angles of a story. Here's one no one's bringing up. Is he actually going to get the chance to prove it?
I do think he's going to prove it. I think he's going to be the starting quarterback on this team this year. It's not going to be Stidham. Everybody thought it was going to be Stidham or it was going to be somebody else. It's not going to be anybody but Cam Newton. This guy he's been an MVP. He went to a Super Bowl in 2015. True. This guy has a lot to prove, and I think he's going to prove it this year. He looks very, very healthy. I don't know if anybody's seen the workout videos that he has put on YouTube. This guy is a beast. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. He can jump like an ox. He can do, not jump like a kangaroo. He's as strong as an ox. This guy is as good. This guy, Brian, is as good as any quarterback in the NFL when healthy. And being that he is going to be a part of the New England Patriots, and they try to find schemes that work for Cam Newton. And we've seen this over and over again, not just with quarterbacks, with players that he has brought into the team. Bill Belichick has brought into the team. He finds a way to fill in those schemes with the players that he has. And Cam Newton is a guy who's a running quarterback, powerful cornerback, but he can throw with accuracy. He can move on the roll and actually throw the ball on the roll. I think he's going to be very, very dangerous, especially in the AFC East. As good as some of these AFC defenses are, like the Buffalo Bills and even maybe the New York Jets this year, they're going to have problems stopping Cam Newton because we saw in one of the hardest divisions in football, we have seen Cam Newton run all over the New Orleans Saints. We've seen him run against all these different great defenses and completely dominated. So I'm worried for the AFC East bringing in somebody as good as Cam Newton.
The Bills will be especially interesting in the matchup of him versus his former defensive coordinator and McDermott too.
Yeah, but here's the point. You know, his former defensive coordinator, Pete, as you said, will have a plan for him. I want to see it happen. Trust me. This is me not being a pessimist. And aside of the fact that I went to the doctor today and I got stuck in a full of drugs right now, but I want
Are you
to see it
okay?
happen.
You're okay?
I'm doing better.
That's good.
I'm probably gonna be off air for about 3 days.
Okay.
But
I'm happy that you're okay.
I want to see it happen. I want to see it happen. And let's talk about the other 400-pound elephant in the room by the name of Colin Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
My thoughts are these. No one's going to sign him. No one's going to take a chance on him.
I think that a lot of NFL teams have to look at the whole big picture. Right now, Seattle owns the rights to Colin Kaepernick, and they are taking phone calls for him. Everything that I've read, that they're taking phone calls. But I don't think anybody's going to give up a significant amount for somebody like Colin Kaepernick. And I think a lot of teams that we're talking about in the NFL that might be looking for a backup quarterback, a reliable backup quarterback, they're going to take a step back before they decide to go after somebody like Colin Kaepernick. With everything that you're seeing, what's going on right now in the world, with you're hearing the NFL, they're going to allow kneeling. And if that happens, if it does happen, and Roger Goodell has to take a step back right now and really look at this big situation right now, because I understand the whole Floyd situation, the George Floyd situation, and I think it was terrible. It was horrendous what happened. Absolutely horrendous what happened. But for this to happen in professional sports and being put on a platform the way it is, it's going to affect the platform moving forward this season.
Yeah, it's going to affect the platform moving forward, not just this season, but next and beyond that. Here are my thoughts. You know why I never talked about George Floyd on my program? I want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think what happened to him deserves to be brushed off? No,
absolutely
not.
Mm-hmm.
And as a black man, no, absolutely not. But I've had so many people ask me, why don't you speak on the Floyd situation? Because I talk sports, not politics.
Mm-hmm.
Me and politics don't get along.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't gotten along in a long time. I keep my thoughts to myself. I express them to my wife. She and I talk about it, and that's that.
And that's the way it should be, Brian, because when you look at the world in the big picture right now, there is nothing going on in sports. So what we try to drive conversation, what's going on in the sports world, to try to hide what's going on in the real world. And
right. It's a cover.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say cover.
No, you're not covering. But I got what you're saying.
It's something that should. Yeah, I used the wrong word, and I apologize. It's something that should happen. And Speedy Petey, I hate to say this about your boy LeBron James, but he's going to come up short to winning a title again.
Just because you hate him doesn't mean I have a fan fest for him. You're the biggest LeBron hater in the sports media universe that I know, probably outside of Skip Bayless. And you actually might be more.
No. I hate to inform you of this, Pete, but aside of Skip Bayless and me, I'm married to a LeBron hater, and we have great conversations about that.
Oh, really?
I have a lot of respect. for LeBron James.
And I did that just to pick at Pete. I haven't had a chance to pick at him in a while.
Well, it's very easy to pick on Speedy because he makes a lot of mistakes. So making mistakes on live air really upsets me. And I sit here and I wonder, why is this guy my producer? And I sit here because I give him chance after chance after chance after chance. And he makes the same mistakes. I don't understand it. But hopefully after this debacle before the show, he'll probably figure it out and maybe not make the same mistakes. But unfortunately, it's like a circus in here on this show for some reason. So, unfortunately,
I want to give Pete a little bit of a smile. He ain't the only one that's made mistakes live on air. I've done this 25 years now, and Lord knows I've made my mistakes on live air, especially
everybody has,
especially my show, especially doing my show. But I just want to ring in and talk with you guys for a few minutes before I zonk out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to talk to you guys. It's good to be back on there with you guys.
Oh, man, I can't wait to get you on our network. And that's going to be very, very soon as well. Snowman in the Morning will be joining us in the very, very near future. Hopefully he's okay. But I'm very excited to bring him on our network. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. But, you know, with everything that's going on in the world and all the transition with our network, it's been very, very hard. But I'm very excited to announce that Snowman in the Morning will be joining the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Indeed. Indeed. I had to cut a few networks loose, but Daryl came to me and said, I got a chance for you. Decided to take it.
And I'm happy that you did because I'm looking forward to working with you moving forward. And you're a great analyst. You're a great broadcaster. And I think you have a unique voice and a unique content that you bring to the table. And I think it'll really drive the fans here in New York and throughout the country.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it, guys.
Feel better, my friend.
Feel better.
Thank you.
Brian Snow, ladies and gentlemen, the host of Snowman in the Morning, which will be joining the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Maybe I'll let Speedy produce his show and not mine, because maybe he'll make his mistakes on his show and not mine. How's that sound?
In the morning, that'll be tough on me. I'm a big
you'll still make mistakes.
I'm a big night person, as you know. As you know.
Anyways, hopefully there won't be that many mistakes when we get this first guest on the show. We will be talking to, when we come back from break, former Wisconsin Badger punter Connor Allen, here on Down to the Wire.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Six 631-965-4990 is the number. As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday and Tuesday from 6 p.m., 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. And remember, guys, if you want to download our apps, our website, all you got, well, you don't have to download it. You can absolutely look it up at www.Worldwide Sports Radio Network. But you could also do this, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to our website. You can go to our app by doing this. You go to Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, or you can go to the iOS, WWSRN. As you guys know, we have our first guest of the show. I was looking forward to interviewing this kid. This guy has been very well known as a punter for the Wisconsin Badgers. We are now talking to punter Connor Allen. What's going on, Connor?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show tonight.
Absolutely. I was really looking forward to getting you on the show because growing up, I couldn't stand the Wisconsin Badgers. I couldn't stand them. I really couldn't stand them. And this has been a great school, a great football school. As you guys know, there's a quarterback that was drafted from this same school, a.k.a. a guy that's a superstar and an MVP candidate last year, Mr. Russell Wilson. So this is a very good school, very well coached. As you guys know, we are talking to Connor Allen. Connor, how are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
Similar to everybody else, we're just kind of hanging out, staying safe, being smart about everything, and trying to make the most of it as we can.
Well, are you hiding under your table like we are as we speak?
I'm in the basement of my house. Does that count?
Well, there you go. I mean, you have to hide behind something. Maybe you're hiding in your closet or something with all your T-shirts or your shirts, or your sneakers. Maybe you're a sneaker collector like I am.
Or Antoine Harris.
Or Antoine Harris, yes. We had Antoine Harris the other day. He was actually promoting his sneakers, so I'm going to be buying those as well. So there you go. We have ex-professional football players, hopefully soon-to-be NFL players that are going to have their sneakers, their jerseys, or whatever the heck they collect.
That'd be perfect.
So tell us a little bit about your career at Wisconsin.
Yeah, so I was a walk-on. No scholarship offers out of high school, anything like that. Figured out that when I got there my freshman year, I wasn't going to play right away. So I, found that if I could learn how to hold for field goals and PATs, that I could earn myself a spot on the travel roster and possibly play the next year. So I redshirted my first year, earned my holding spot, and ended up playing the next 55 or 56 games of my career.
Talk about Paul Chryst as a head coach. How did he sway you to pick Wisconsin and really embrace that program?
Honestly, it was my dream school from being a kid. Like I've grown up a Badger fan. I've always dreamed of playing football at Wisconsin. So it was truly a dream come true for me.
When you look at some of the players that you played against or even played with, who stood out to you the most as a teammate or who you played against?
I would say JT honestly stood out the most. He's just like the most hyped up guy that I've ever played around, in all honesty, and he's truly super, super down to earth, if you know him, and a truly great teammate, a really smart guy. Works his butt off every day, every night. So it's truly the perfect team player, somebody that you really want to be around all the time.
What was your favorite part of watching him play? Because he was one of the most electric college running backs, really, definitely in recent memory, and his stats are one of the best all time.
Yeah, it was just during the games you'd be watching, you had to be ready at all times because you never know when he's going to break one for a touchdown. He could be at the 20-yard line, and all of a sudden we're going 80 yards for a TD, so you got to be ready at all times when he's on the field.
When you talk about Wisconsin, Connor, and you know about the Badgers and you know what they do, how they recruit players, they've been known for defenses over the years. This is also for their basketball. What stood out to Wisconsin all those years that you wanted to play for them?
I think it was the culture they have there. So, being a Wisconsin kid, that's the only D1 program for football in Wisconsin, which I think, gives them an advantage in a way compared to like the Alabamas. There's multiple schools down there. In the Floridas, there's multiple schools, but Wisconsin, that's the only one for us. So that's kind of, as a Wisconsin kid, that's the ultimate goal. But then they're just always constantly bringing in great people, great guys that are all about the team. There are no me guys like you might find at some other schools. I think that's, courtesy of Coach Chris and his staff is doing a fantastic job recruiting the type of player that they want to have there to continue that great culture we have.
We are talking to former Wisconsin Badger punter Connor Allen.
Connor, talk about the Big Ten now. Do you think that the Big Ten has been kind of undervalued when everyone talks about the power conferences with the SEC? Do you think it's undervalued? And also, who was the toughest opponent in when you come to opponents that you faced? What was your most looking forward to facing in the Big Ten?
I think the Big Ten is definitely overlooked as a Power 5 conference. When everyone's always like, oh, the SEC is the greatest thing alive, but there's a ton of great teams in the Big Ten that I think in the past, 5 to 8 years have really shown how strong of a conference it really is. When you look at the Ohio State, obviously, Wisconsin, you got Penn State, those three teams kind of, top it off, and they're always in the Big Ten championship, always reaching for a playoff berth, among the country. So I think you can't really overlook the Big Ten in that aspect anymore with the type of teams we're putting out every year. As far as my favorite team to play against, I would definitely say Minnesota. The Patriots from Minnesota, being a Wisconsin kid and being a Badger, so it's always fun to play them and keep the axe where it belongs.
Now, Connor, as a punter, I don't know much about punting. Never tried to punt a football. I did play football in high school. I was a pretty good corner. I was a pretty good wide receiver, but I wasn't a punter. And I tried to punt quite a few times. I am terrible, okay? I am absolutely terrible, and I can't play soccer for my life. Those are two things I cannot do. Kicking things is not what I'm good at, okay? So just so you know that. What drove you to be a punter? I mean, seriously, when you look at the aspects of the game and really the drive of the game, and I believe punting is as important than any position in football, especially in professional football, because if you have a good punter, you can put it where you want it in certain aspects of the game, and it can change the game, change the speed of the game by just punting the ball. So what made you want to be a punter? Were you a soccer player? What drove you to do that?
I actually never played soccer growing up. I might have played for maybe like half a season, but it just really wasn't my thing. But I worked at it as I was younger, and my dad had me do these punt, pass, and kick competitions that they do all over the country. And I think practicing for that, I figured out I was actually pretty good at it. And over the years, you see the value that it adds to the team. All throughout like middle school and high school football, it played a big role in our success as a team, especially in high school. Being able to control the field position. So it just provides you, an aspect. Like, as me, I'm a smaller guy, so it's not like I have the size to play college football at any position or the talent by that means. But punting was something that allowed me to live out my dream and play at a high level like that at Wisconsin.
Did you win any of those punt, pass, and kick competitions when you were a kid? And if so, did you win multiple?
I made it to Lambeau Field, which is like the final thing on one year, but I ended up losing in that final. But it was pretty cool to go there.
Now, by the way, everybody, we are talking to former Badgers punter Connor Allen. And and everybody keeps saying, I can't believe you hate the Wisconsin Badgers. I hated them when I was a kid, okay? I never liked them. I grew up a Florida State fan, okay? I was a Florida State fan growing up. I followed them. I hated the Miami Hurricanes. I hated a lot of teams. I hated Michigan. I hated I liked the Ohio State Buckeyes. I like them. But there were certain teams I just didn't like, and Wisconsin was one of those teams I just couldn't. I didn't like the colors, okay? That's the truth. I didn't like the colors. I didn't like them. Anyways, when you look at the game and how it's transitioned, the NFL game, and how some of these punters, some of them are now ex-rugby players, some of them are ex-soccer players. What are your thoughts to the transition of the game as a punter and what you've seen as a football player in college to the NFL game?
I think people are starting to understand how big of an aspect of the game it is, and special teams in general. And, how it's really, truly, it's 1/3 of the game. You got offense, defense, special teams. And if you don't have that respect for the special teams, like, that can cause some problems throughout your gameplay, throughout your season and over the years. But with the teams that really practice it and, respect it, they go a long way having that third of the game wrapped up and being successful in that way. And I think as we look at the different types of athletes that are, becoming punters as we go on here, there's a lot of Australian guys coming over who can just crush a football. They've grown up doing that their whole life. So they come over here and they add a huge amount to any team that they come to. And, as from, you look at the typical specialist from like 20 years ago and you look at them now and these guys are beefy. They're working out all the time. Like, you would never know. Some guys look like a linebacker out there. It's ridiculous. But I think the position itself has definitely transitioned over time into a lot more of an athletic person, and it's becoming to be a lot more respected by fans in general.
A lot of times in college football at many different levels, D1, D2, or D3, we see the punters also be the backup quarterbacks. And I know at my school, which was a D3 school, it was also our starting running back too. One year was also the punter. Why do you think they end up doing that in college football? Is it a strategy aspect? Is it a roster construction aspect with the recruiting? What do you think are the biggest reasons for that? And also, did you have any of those experiences like that too?
I mean, and if it makes any sense, in high school I was quarterback. So kind of theory as well, but I think it just kind of depends on the roster, like who you have, and some teams will have, maybe they only have a couple quarterbacks that year for whatever reason, and that's just somebody who's a decent background at throwing the football and can learn a few plays if they ever needed it. But for me at Wisconsin, we always had a bunch of quarterbacks, so unfortunately I never got that opportunity as much as I would have loved to do that.
As you guys know, we are talking to former Wisconsin Badgers punter Connor Allen, and it's not easy to be a punter in college, Division I football, and being a walk-on. It's an incredible story, by the way. And I was reading a little bit about your story online because one of our social media managers, Ricky, reached out to you and told me we were going to get you on the show. So I wanted to do a little bit of an investigation about you, and I investigate a little bit. And a lot of fans have been writing to me on our social media. So I'm going to ask you some of the questions that they're asking me right now to you. What is the biggest win you have ever had at Wisconsin? And also, where have you put Paul Chryst among coaches in the league?
I think my biggest win, probably personally just out of the excitement for it and how much it meant, was this past season when we beat Minnesota at Minnesota for my senior year. And, coming off of last year, we lost to them and lost the Axe after having it for, I think, 14 straight years. And, that's a deep-rooted rivalry that's been going on for a long, long time. So there's a lot of meaning behind that. And then to come back this year and beat down on them at their own place when they were ranked higher than us, and all the talk was about how well they were doing. And we come in and, make sure they know what's up and take the Axe back again. That was probably the coolest win that I've been a part of. And then as for Paul Chryst, honestly, he's one of the best coaches I've ever been around or gotten the opportunity to be around. Truly a player type of coach. It's all about, it's nothing's about him. It's all about the team, all about the guys that make the success happen. I think he's very, very well respected by his peers and also by us players, just for, the type of guy he is and how much he cares about us.
One of the biggest tragedies in college football recently was the Nebraska punter, the passing of him. I'm drawing a blank on his name. As a punter yourself and also as a Big Ten football player, what were the emotions like when you found out that happened, and even in the following game, playing kind of for him in that essence as a punter?
Yeah, you're referring to Sam Foltz.
Yep.
Actually, believe it or not, I had met him the weekend that happened at the camp that it happened at. We were all there coaching and, doing our thing as well, a couple days prior to the high school camp. But we were all there that weekend. That was the first weekend I'd ever met him. Truly an amazing human being, super, super cool guy. For being a young guy at that time and him being a senior, he took me in like I was a brother immediately. I'd never met the guy before. So, he's truly one of those amazing people that was just gone too soon. But I think it kind of, wakes you up in a way as well to realize how fortunate you are to in all aspects just be alive and be able to live your life the way you do. And then for us as being D1 athletes and, having all the privileges that we get from playing a sport like that, it's truly humbling when you think about it. And I think we did a lot of good things to honor him that year when that happened. Like our kicker, Rafael Gaglianone, he changed his number to Sam's number because they were good buddies. And so, it goes a lot farther than just sports. It's all about, knowing people and creating lifelong friendships. And fortunately, that's what we've been able to do with football. So it's a really cool opportunity. We
are talking to former Wisconsin Badger punter Connor Allen. Now, Connor, I'm a dancer. I like to dance, okay? I don't know about you, and I don't know about the locker room over there in Wisconsin because, as you know, I'm not a Wisconsin fan, so I'm probably thinking that they're a little bit lame over there in Wisconsin. I don't know. So what do you guys do, before the game? Do you guys, is there a crazy person? Is there a comedian over there that's dancing, blasting music, pulling pranks on people. Is there a certain person who you played with in Wisconsin that was the clown of the bunch?
I would say we didn't necessarily have a clown as much as we did like a pump-up guy who got everybody all excited before the game. Right before kickoff, we'd be in the locker room during those media timeouts, and we'd be listening to the same song. I forget what the name is, but we played the same song.
How do you forget the name, Connor? How do you forget the name? You hear it over and over again.
I'm blanking on the name. We played the same song before every game, and then Chris Orr would be the one that hyped everybody up, yelling and screaming inside in the locker room. Get everybody hyped up. So much respect to him. He brought the energy every game, every day for that matter. It was a joy to be around.
As a punter, I mean, obviously, there's not they come and go a lot of times in the league.
There he goes. There you go, Connor. He's taking shots at you now.
No, I'm not. I'm taking
come and go.
I'm looking at the trend. At the trend of the position.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any particular influences as a punter growing up that you looked forward to in the NFL? And if it wasn't a punter, I mean, who were your favorite NFL players growing up?
My favorite NFL players growing up, I grew up in the Brett Favre era. So that was I always wore 4 was my number for all the sports I played. I always looked up to him as like the greatest player there is. So that was kind of my football inspiration when I was a kid. I think that's kind of changed now to staying with a similar position though. Aaron Rodgers, just an all-around good guy, and does a ton for Wisconsin sports in general and the people of Wisconsin. That goes unnoticed by a lot of media, but he does a lot, kind of, like under the sight of everybody. But specifically punter-wise, I would say probably Thomas Morstead. I met him a couple times, just an all-around great guy. One of those people that truly believes in sharing the knowledge, so everything he's learned, he's more than willing to give you any tips or anything that he knows that he knows he can make you a better player. He'll share it with you, and that's just one of those people that you look up to and be like, I want to be like him when I get older. I want to be in his position and be able to do that same thing and give back to the guys that are younger than me.
So what's next for Connor Allen? Okay, because to me, the Jets just drafted a punter in the 7th or 6th round, and you don't see punters really get drafted. You usually see them get picked up in free agency or unrestricted free agents or whatever. Do you see yourself playing in the NFL? And if you do, what team has reached out to you?
Unfortunately, I don't believe I will be playing in the NFL as much as I'd love to say I am. I will always keep that window open. That will never close. So if anybody needs anything, I'm always here. But that unfortunately won't be happening anytime soon, I don't think.
What were your favorite, in terms of Wisconsin, what were your favorite plays that you had at Wisconsin or moments within those games that you had?
There was one that stands out that was, I believe 2 years ago when we played at Purdue in that game that went to triple overtime. And JT ended up running in triple OT for a score and we won that way. But there was a punt that I had with about a minute left in the game when we were on on their 10-yard, like our own 10-yard line, and going out, and all they needed to win was a field goal. If I shank a punt, like they're in great field position, most likely hit a field goal to win it. The time expires and we lose. But I was able to hit a good ball that pushed them back far enough where they weren't able to get a field goal try, and the defense held them for 3 downs, and we were able to go into OT and eventually win. So that was probably one of my most significant memories from playing.
Well, Connor, I'll tell you this. I think you have a good radio voice. I don't know what you majored in college, but this is something that I think you could be really, really good at. I don't know if there was any thought in your mind to be a broadcaster or an analyst or a radio guy, but you have a very unique radio voice and you understand college sports. What other sports do you follow? Are you a baseball fan? Are you a basketball fan? Are you a hockey fan? And what teams do you follow?
Honestly, I can't say that I follow anything too closely. I know there's a lot of guys, I'm sure like you guys, that are deep into the stats of everything that goes on.
We try.
I'm more so just kind of like for the enjoyment and get the entertainment from watching. Football would be my most closely followed sport if there is one like that.
Well, entertaining is what we do here, okay? So we entertain people. So now you are a fan of ours. So now every single day or every single week, you should be tuning in and listening to us and being a fan of us. And I'll tell you this, every time you pop up on our feed and you ask us questions, I'm going to give you a shout out, Connor. How's that sound?
All right, perfect.
There you go. What are your plans moving forward? What did you graduate from college, and where do you see yourself in the future now?
Yeah, so I graduated this spring. I triple majored in finance, management, and risk management insurance. And so I got a job working at Baird, which is a financial services firm down in Milwaukee. And I'm going to be doing financial advising.
Oh man, you're going to do very, very well. I could tell you're a smart guy, and you have your stuff together. So I'm looking forward to seeing where you go in the future, and definitely tune in and follow us. And I'll tell you this, Connor, we would love to get you on when the college football season starts. When we want to talk about Wisconsin football, you'll be our Wisconsin guy.
Absolutely, I got you covered.
Thank you so much, Connor, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Connor Allen, ex-Wisconsin Badger, punter, great insight of his thoughts of his career and really some of the players that he played with and really, really nice kid. Really nice kid. He should be something with radio. I think he'd be very, very good.
I agree.
Really do.
I agree. He had a very clear and very entertaining radio voice. I could definitely see that. But again, in finances, he's going to make some money and he's going to help people make some money. So good luck with everything with him going forward.
Oh, absolutely. So if Connor wants to join us every single week for Wisconsin football to talk a little Badger football with us, we would love to have him on. Absolutely. Anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get in more with this baseball situation. MLB, I will probably be leaving at 7 o'clock. My partner in crime, Mr. Speedy Petey, will have a new partner in the very well-known, yes, go ahead, Speedy.
Mark Kelly.
Mark Kelly joining us here on Down to the Wire.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor. Because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I am your host, Mark Everett Kelly, replacing Errol Marks here with my man Speedy. As we get into the 7 o'clock hour, talking about, you just had a guest on. Now we're going to start talking about college football and whether or not we have a guest at 7:15.
We have two college football guests, so that actually ends up being very convenient.
Well, I think what everybody wants to know is there going to be a season? And you see what all the players testing positive for COVID. We had how many Clemson players?
21 Clemson.
Yeah, and then like 13 more, like almost 35 players or people involved with the football program testing positive for COVID.
Right.
And these are guys that are mostly asymptomatic. So that's the other thing that's kind of the catch-22 about this disease is that it's only going to kill about 20% of the population, and most of the athletes, when they get sick, they don't even know. So they've been testing now because they want to get back to playing. So that's why there's a little more of a spike in some areas. Not the only reason, but that's part of the reason. And a lot of these guys will go asymptomatic, not even know. And the good thing about that is when they're tested, they're not going to infect anybody else, so that way they can stay quarantined. But what do you think, Speedy? Do you think we're going to have a season?
I think there's still plenty of time to have a season just because I think in terms of college football, it's, for one thing, a little shorter than an NFL season. Obviously, they have a bunch of bowl games, but again, that's one bowl game. It's not like you have to have a series of particular things like other sports, too, with the ones in the playoffs. So I think it'll happen. I think it will be either shortened or, again, modified, I guess, in some way. I think the problem is with college football in comparison to the pro sports, is just there's a lot more teams. So there's going to be more travel. You have to figure out, all right, how are we going to deal with this in terms of dealing with it local? Because college schedules come out, 7 years in advance or something like that?
Yeah.
So it's hard to prepare for anything like that when these schedules came out in 2013 or 2014, trying to plan for all these rivalry games and stuff like that. So it's definitely trickier.
I know, and these are big deals for some of the smaller colleges who play big name colleges.
Right.
It's their only year to play them maybe and make some
money.
money. But I think a good idea that I hear keep getting tossed around is to stay conference only. Now, obviously that would work for SEC, Big Ten. Big 12's a little more spread out, so I don't know how well that would work there.
The ACC, I think, is the most spread out because they got the whole East Coast.
And then you also got Notre Dame. Like, what did they do? You cannot have a college football season without Notre Dame. People would revolt. It'd be fine with me, but I think people would revolt.
Well, we don't get to see them choke in big games.
Yeah, well, not anymore. It's funny because growing up, Notre Dame was, when they had Lou Holtz and they won the national championship in '89. I remember they beat West Virginia, and they just embarrassed West Virginia. And I was like such a hard game to watch because I didn't like Notre Dame. And then they've really had a decline here. But I think the thing is that everybody thinks they get a pass because they don't have to worry about playing in a conference. And if they do play in a conference, it's like a mix of the ACC and the Big Ten because they have Michigan, they have Michigan State, and then they have a lot of weak ACC teams, which we see. Clemson. Obviously, Clemson's proven themselves as a powerhouse, but they basically get escorted into the college football playoff every year because they don't have to worry about a powerhouse like the SEC or the Big Ten. There's no other team. Florida State maybe back in the day was, but not anymore.
Miami, the 1 year recently, too, was it 3 years ago when they were undefeated? They destroyed Notre Dame in their game, and then they were undefeated until they lost to Clemson.
Yeah. But this isn't the Miami of old,
No, I know. I'm saying recently, if you're judging the ACC, it's interesting to look at the trends of outside Clemson, where else has it come from? And you're right, it's really only Florida State early in the decade and Miami the 1 year. And then obviously they ended up choking in that one badly and they lost their coach after that.
Yeah, I remember one year they laid an egg against Syracuse. And then the next year down in Clemson, they almost lost to Syracuse again. They had to win, I think, the backup quarterback.
Right, Chase Bryce, yep.
And so that Clemson's going to be a player in this, but for other teams, when still the power conferences, obviously, the SEC, the Big Ten, I think the Big Ten made last year when Ohio State dominated like they did, I think that they didn't win the national championship, losing to Clemson the way they did in the semifinal. I know Ryan and I were talking about this a lot when it happened. Is I felt that the Big Ten, because of how Ohio State dominated, that was their time to win. And if they didn't, that they were still going to hear the echoes of, Big Ten, it's nowhere near the SEC. They're an also-ran. Every time they get their big chance, they wind up losing. And I think last year, clearly, Ohio State was, if not, it was always, are they better than Alabama? Well, last year they were because Alabama wound up losing to LSU. Then they wound up losing a heartbreaker to Auburn. But as even in the Big Ten, there were a lot of good teams in the Big Ten last year. Penn State was good. Wisconsin was good.
Minnesota was good for a while, too.
Minnesota was good. They were undefeated for most of the year. So I think that the way they handled that conference gave the Big Ten confidence that they were going to come out and beat anybody. And Clemson was like the team that hadn't been tested all year. They kind of had a soft schedule. Here comes big Ohio State. You got to win that game to prove yourself and to prove your conference as kind of being the best of the best if you're still second class to the SEC. And they didn't.
Right. And again, like you were saying with the scheduling, if that does end up happening, that'll definitely benefit a team like Clemson to be number one. They already have a loaded team as it is, a great recruiting class, like number 3 in the country this year in terms of the recruiting class they got. And again, it also shows how good of a coach Dabo Swinney is. Because remember, Clemson last year, they were not as talented as Ohio State was either. But again, a new coach against Dabo Swinney, they have the coaching advantage there too. So he's going to have a lot of work cut out for him if they do end up restricting it to a conference schedule. Now, again, they have to make sure they don't have those like down games like they did against Syracuse, like they did last year against North Carolina when they only won by one because Carolina missed the 2-point conversion. So you can't have those down games in a year like that where if the SEC powerhouse, whoever that may be, is undefeated too and plays obviously the stronger competition. Now, I don't know if we'll have that kind of case with a team like an LSU last year, a dominance level of that much, but it's going to be interesting to see because Florida's a big favorite this year. Obviously, Alabama's always a big favorite, and Georgia's still around. They didn't lose much from last year, so we'll have to see where they go. And they have a big, Jamie Newman, who's their quarterback prospect. Big prospect this year that could definitely make a difference for them as well. So you're right. In terms of the scheduling, it has to be that way for Clemson. They can't have those down games in order to make that happen. And again, if they have all these players struggling with COVID, that could be hard if they lose depth. Obviously, college rosters are bigger, but still. If they're big name players, I'm not sure if there were any big name players listed. I didn't see the whole report if there was any big ones that came into effect. But if they 21 players, there's a lot of players on a football team.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be anybody big because it's going to affect everybody. You know, because then how does a team get started? See, that's what's going to be so interesting about this whole dynamic of playing with COVID is if somebody gets sick in baseball and basketball and hockey, somebody big, it's going to look at it like this was tainted. Like the championship was tainted. The only other year I could compare to this, in baseball at least, is 81 when they had, 2 half seasons. And
that was the one where the Reds were leading and should have been in the playoffs or something like that.
The funny thing was that the two teams who had the most wins in the National League, the Reds in the West and the Cardinals in the East, both didn't make the playoffs. Because they played consistently throughout the whole year.
So what was the reasoning for that? Did they specify?
Not really. It was kind of like there was so much time taken off in between. They wound up coming back with the All-Star game August 9th, and I believe the last game they played before that was in June. So there was almost like a month and a half off, and they figured they didn't want to just pick up because of the imbalance of the schedule, so why don't we just create 2 different schedules? And that was really the first division series, which they would later come on to adopt anyway.
Right.
And I remember I was, 7 years old back when that happened, so I remember watching that and being how different it was. The Yankees wound up playing the Brewers in the first round, and the Brewers the next year wound up
in the World Series
to the Cardinals. And the A's with Billy Martin, who were god-awful in 1979, lost 100-something games, with a pitching staff of Mike Norris, Brian Kehoe, Steve Langford, all these guys that Billy Martin just ran into the ground and pitched 200 innings.
Sounds like him.
Yeah. And they really pitched well. And then Henderson and guys like not Corny Lansford, he was with the Red Sox, but Dwayne Murphy, Tony Armas, those guys, I think 24 guys, led the American League in home runs.
I think Tony Armas was one of them, yeah.
Like Bobby Grich was another, Dwight Evans was another.
Yeah, Dwight Evans was.
So, that was the closest thing we can compare to the 60 games for baseball. I think is going to be a hard sell as far as a legit champion, but we got to take what we can get.
Now, in terms of the baseball, what do you think is going to happen in terms of how the players are going to embrace it? Again, you think strategy is going to change a lot? Because, again, it's interesting with, obviously, a game shifting to micromanaging as it is. Do you think there'll be more of it, less of it because of these new roster rules and stuff?
It's hard to say. I mean, did you see MLB Network did a show on Dennis Eckersley.
Okay.
And they talked about his role and how he became a closer. And that's really when the game changed. Is this micromanaging. I remember it was Gene Nelson in the 7th, Rick Honeycutt in the 8th, or a combination of both, and then Eckersley gets the ball in the 9th. Before that, guys, your closer came in, and it could come in the 7th inning, 8th inning. So this micromanaging really started with Tony La Russa, pretty much thinks he just started, baseball as it is. Him and Bobby Valentine.
He also pioneered the pitcher hitting 8th.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Luis Ordaz and those guys on the Cardinals back then. So I think that what we've seen so far is drastic overmanaging. I know with the Mets last year, you got to the point where after the 7th inning, you would fall asleep with all the different moves they were making. None of them really worked out anyway. The Mets had a disastrous bullpen for how many years?
Right. It seems like every big name reliever just dies with the Mets. And it's like that way with a lot of teams, but it seems like it's always with the Mets.
Yeah. But
it's not like they don't try. It's just for whatever reason, they don't manage it right.
You know as well as I do that relievers from year to year are hit and miss.
Right. They're very phasey. Besides, I think Craig Kimbrell, Aroldis Chapman, and maybe Kenley Jansen, there's no consistent closers. And even before that, it was Rivera, it was Hoffman, and then before he came to the Mets, it was K-Rod.
Oh my God, it's gonna start K-Rod. I mean, we're getting into Mel Rojas territory, Benitez wasn't that bad.
Yeah, well, yeah, you get the point. It's all a phasey type thing. But now I think with the openers, with this more of this micromanaging thing, I think the pure closer element is also phasing out too, to an extent. And I think you're going to see it more as a whole phase out because of this micromanaging. And then they do this thing about the position players pitching too. Like, did that really have to be limited? Yeah. That was funny in itself as well.
I think though, I heard John Smoltz talking about it, that they're going to go with they could go with 4-man rotations because these guys aren't going to go that many, starters aren't going to go that many innings to begin with. Maybe 5-6 innings. And then by the time we get into September, October, maybe we'll see the big name starters go deeper into games because they're going to need to with some of those teams. You know, with Washington, you saw how Washington used
starters out of the
last
bullpen.
year. Yeah, I mean, that's the only reason why they won, because their bullpen was one of the worst in the National League last year.
Right, and I think, who was it, the Cubs that really started that when Joe Madden was doing that with a lot of those relievers. And again, eventually it was caught on. The Red Sox did it when they won, obviously, with sign stealing. But
the Mets did it too. I remember Syndergaard coming in the 7th inning of that game, Game 5 against the Dodgers.
Right, yeah. So you're definitely seeing that versatility come into effect. I wonder, though, too, how much pitchers or managers are really going to do that, though, being that these guys are also, it could be rusty, they could be out of baseball shape, not playing for so long either. So that is the only thing that concerns me a little bit with what you were saying with the 4-man rotation. So I don't know how much it's going to work, I guess maybe short term for the time being. And again, how long term can you really think, because it's only a 60-game season.
Exactly. So with the number of roster spots available, and I think thank God that they are making these numbers available, because these guys are not going to be ready, and especially pitchers, there's going to be injuries galore when we first start. So having those players available, I think, is the right move to make, because if not, then what would you be seeing? I mean, you've already seen a spike. I did an article a couple months ago. I talked to Mark Simon, who works.
You've told me about him.
He
many
does
times,
research, and he and I were talking about the spike, how offensive numbers rise and fall, and why there's always a reason for it, going back to the 20s and then the 90s, and now in the last couple of years, there's been another explosion of runs. Yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do with also the way bullpens are used. I mean, a lot of teams that win come back against your bullpens, because these guys aren't good enough to be starters, and they're not good enough to be closers. So the middle relievers, to me, it never made sense how at the most important time of the game, these guys get a lot of the innings.
Isn't that seem surprising, though, considering that it's a micromanaging league? They try to pitch for the matchup specifically with left-handers.
But that's it. It's like these guys don't have enough stuff to go beyond one batter, one inning. So if a guy can throw 98 miles an hour, he can face that one batter. If a lefty has a wicked slider, he could face that one batter. But if you give them an inning, they're going to be exposed. And I think now that they have to face 3 batters, the 3-batter minimum, that's going to be really interesting, because hopefully that will prevent some of this overmanaging, which for a long time wasn't even done. I mean, starters would go 7 innings, and then when you go to the bullpen,
you had a formalized list. You had your 8th guy, you had your 9th guy, you had your 7th guy, right?
Right. So, I mean, this new thing that really extends the game, and if you're watching like from the 7th to the 9th inning, it's kind of like watching basketball in the last 3 minutes with all the timeouts and everything. It kind of can get out of hand.
Substitutions, yeah.
Yeah, it can get out of hand. But anyway, getting back to college football, 7:15, we have a guest from Tennessee Volunteers football offensive and defensive tackle recruit Colby Smith. Tennessee with the 2nd-ranked recruiting class for next year. So the Vols have not won the SEC East in 2004, and we all know the SEC has won a number of national championships, been a big player in college football going forward, so we get to talk to him. What do you see happening in college football if they do play? The advantage of the conferences. Which conference do you think is going to take it, has the biggest advantage, and what conference has the least advantage?
All right, this will be my final note because we have to go to break soon. I think you'd be surprised on my answer here, but I actually think this could benefit something like the Pac-12 because they play so close as it is. Now, obviously, with the college football playoff, you never know, but you don't get the ACC having those extra games early in the season where you get the blowouts. You don't have the SEC getting those same things where the competition may be favorable if it isn't as top heavy. Now, I'm not saying a Pac-12 team's going to win it all, but I'm saying as a conference, they might get it. This might be their best chance if they do play this conference type thing to get a team in the playoff, which they haven't done since Washington, who I still don't think should have made it as it is. And then you had Oregon the year when they had Mariota. So those are the only times they make it in. So I think they could actually benefit a little bit from this because it's not a top heavy conference and because they play directly like they always do anyway.
Good point. So we go to break, and when we come back, we will deal with Colby Smith, the offensive and defensive tackle recruit from Tennessee.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Setuha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm gonna keep ticking, but no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. but they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone. Let's all stop what we're doing right now and take a moment. That felt good, huh? Just like that, we had a nice special sort of moment together. Of course, they don't all need to be quiet moments to be special. They could be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. Sounds like somebody agrees. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Today, call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
It's Meals on Wheels. 1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch at letsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Little AC/DC back from 1980, Brian Johnson's first album. Mark Everett Kelly here with Speedy Petey and Down to the Wire as I fill in for Errol Marks, who had to step out for a little while as we continue on in the 7 o'clock hour, talking about college football. Before we now have a guest from the Tennessee Volunteers and their number 2 recruitment class from North Carolina, Colby Smith. Colby, how are you doing? It's Mark Everett Kelly and Speedy Petey here on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We're doing okay. We're trying to work on a little volume issue. We can hear you kind of like in an echo now, but we'll get that worked on. So Colby, being from North Carolina, down there, you and your family, how are you guys handling the COVID, and are you guys all staying healthy?
Colby, sorry to cut you off. We're going to have to go to a quick break. Hold on.
We'll be right back with you, Colby.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm gonna keep ticking, but no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back to Down to the Wire. Mark Everkelly here with Speedy P filling in for Errol Marks. We were on the phone with Tennessee Volunteers football offensive and defensive tackle recruit Colby Smith when we had some problems with the sound. We got him back now. Colby, are you there with us?
I am.
Great. We can hear you loud and clear. Everything's perfect now. Colby, I had mentioned before about COVID-19. I know you had answered the question, but we since we had some problems hearing you, can you repeat again how you and your family have been handling this time?
Just trying our best to keep our normal routine going. I mean, my parents, they haven't really changed much. They kind of have like a small business going on, so their routine really hasn't changed. But mine, I've been trying to get creative with working out and everything, and with not having to be able to go to the gym and whatnot.
Yeah, I know that must be hard for a lot of athletes, knowing where to go, who to stay away from, how to stay socially distant from other people. But being recruited to Tennessee, you got Jeremy Pruitt from one of the guys that was at Alabama. You come into, I believe, what's the best conference in college football. Have you noticed the trend lately of the SEC West's dominance within the division? How they've won all but one Southeastern Conference championship game, and being at Tennessee, a program hasn't won the East since 2004. What do you hope to bring to that program that hasn't been there for a while?
Just grit, man, to be honest with you. I mean, I want to win. I believe that everybody coming in wants to win. I believe the whole program wants to win, man. And I'm really happy and excited to get behind that. I really feel like things are about to change down there. I feel like they're heading in the right direction.
What specifically about Coach Pruitt lured you to Tennessee? What did he sell you on? I mean, Tennessee, over the years, they've had a revolving door of coaches for the most part. What about Coach Pruitt really sold you the most?
His honesty. It's his honesty. and how easy it was to talk to him, and how everything with that.
I think one of the things that really impresses people about the SEC and someone like Pruitt is coming in and knowing that there are going to be challenges because you're coming into the toughest conference in college football. You guys play Georgia every year. You play South Carolina every year. The one thing I noticed, though, about the SEC is the unbalanced, though, because each team has one common opponent from the other team, and Tennessee's common opponent just happens to be Alabama. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's going to be great for me, to be honest with you. That's crazy. Not many people can say that they play Alabama every year. You know what I'm saying? I really feel like the competition like that is going to make me a much better player.
Now, have you memorized the words to Rocky Top yet? Have you gotten any Peyton Manning phone calls? I mean, what comes with the territory of being recruited to Tennessee?
I think I've got the whole Rocky Top thing down. I've been looking, I've been listening, and everything. I haven't got any phone calls from Peyton Manning, but I hope they will come. I will be definitely looking forward to that. The culture down there is amazing.
I honestly think we should make you sing it before you get off the air, just as kind of as a break-in, little Rocky Top. What do you think? No, we don't want to put you on the spot here, Colby.
I don't know if that will yet.
I could picture you up there at the end of the game, like Peyton, standing up and leading the band as after a big win against Alabama or against Georgia. You know how it gets down there in the SEC. But playing at Neyland Stadium, one of the biggest stadiums in the country, over 100,000 people, coming from North Carolina, how do you feel about that type of environment? Does it intimidate you? Are you looking forward to it?
Man, I can't be more excited. I've never even been anywhere near something like that before in my life.
In terms of Tennessee as a whole, the state, the football fanhood, what are you most looking forward to with the experience of just embracing the culture of the state of Tennessee and obviously of the Tennessee Volunteers as a university?
Just meeting the people down there, man. Everybody, it seems to me, everybody I've met in Tennessee has been a genuinely good person. And I love everything. I love the scenery. It's just a great place. I just fell in love with it.
What are you most looking forward to with the football team as a whole? And is there any of your fellow recruits you are looking forward to playing with most?
I'm really looking forward to hopefully I can get my man Diego to commit with me. And I was really looking forward to playing with him.
We have.
Diego Powell.
I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you. We have Colby Smith from the Tennessee Volunteers, number 2 recruiting class in the SEC. Colby is an offensive and defensive lineman out of Rockingham County, Reidsville, North Carolina. Colby, it says you're a two-way player. Now, Jeremy Pruitt has not been shy about playing guys on both sides of the ball. How do you feel about that? What are you more comfortable playing, offense or defense?
Either or, to be honest with you. I feel comfortable on both sides. I think I could use some more knowledge on the defensive side, but I'd be fine playing both.
What would you say is your biggest strength? Is it your footwork? Is it your hands? Is it your ability to beat an opponent to the punch? What would you say is your biggest strength on offense and defense?
My leverage and quickness.
Do you have a preference? Oh, sorry. What did you say?
You said he was sorry.
I said
nothing. Sorry. Do you have a preference on which one you like to play more between the offensive tackle and the defensive tackle, and if so, why?
That's a hard one. That really is a hard one. Really, I would like to say I like defense more.
For what reason?
Just because, you can just get nasty on defense, man. I love it.
Is there a particular, intimidation factor that you like to do on the line of scrimmage against other offensive linemen when you do play defense? And if so, is the trash talking game between the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman, how does it differ? And is it that much different even at the high school level?
Not really. Not really. And I mean, I would like to say that the offensive and defensive line talk or trash talk is better than any other position on the field.
We are talking with Colby Smith here of the Tennessee Volunteers recruiting class, the second-ranked recruiting class in college football this year. Colby, when you noticed how many guys were being recruited, and you see that Tennessee could turn the corner here, it's been a while before the Vols, since the Vols have been pertinent in the SEC. What does that mean to you to get this program back to where it was when Philip Fulmer was there, when they won a national championship the year after Manning left with T. Martin? What does it mean to you to bring that program back to prominence?
The world, man. I mean, I would just love to be a part of that. My name will forever be in that conversation, man. And I mean, I truly believe we will make it happen. So I mean, I honestly can't wait.
Is there one particular SEC opponent you're looking forward to playing, and why?
Probably Alabama.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be. Okay, I wonder where you got that one from.
You're wearing an Alabama. Good. Sorry.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you know as well as I do watching college football, and I want to get into who kind of your favorite players are in the NFL, who has really influenced your play. But watching the SEC and seeing just the intensity of the matchup, Saban on the sideline yelling at his players, yelling at the referees, even going to an environment down in Columbia with South Carolina, or going to Georgia, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, with Florida and Georgia. There's so much of fanfare with the SEC that they got to celebrate. ESPN did 150 years of college football, which I thought were great, specifically celebrating the SEC. But what is it about? Like, what NFL players have you watched that have really inspired you or that you've learned from? Is there anybody specifically that you watch on Sundays that you hope to pattern after?
Joe Thomas and Taylor Lewan.
And
those two, I mean, I've really been watching. I mean, I love how Taylor Lewan plays the game. I just love the way he carries himself. I mean, I just love everything about his game. And, of course, Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas is future Hall of Famer. Joe Thomas is about perfect as you can get.
In terms of the offensive tackle position and the defensive tackle position, from when you started watching football to today, how do you think those positions have changed?
The speed, definitely the athleticism of those positions have definitely changed, and you can see that guys are much slimmer on those sides of the ball. So I feel like I'm coming at the right time, so I feel like that's kind of where I fit in.
Again, we are here with Colby Smith of the Tennessee Volunteers, #2 recruiting class in the country. Colby from North Carolina, Reidsville, North Carolina. Colby, we got a couple more questions for you, then we'll let you go. What is it like coming from North Carolina, going down to Tennessee? Could you explain a little bit the difference in how the people are, what the environment's like? North Carolina on the East Coast, Tennessee kind of, in the middle of the country. What to you is the biggest difference?
I would honestly just say the weather and the accents, man. I mean, there really isn't that much of a difference. It's just the fact that Tennessee, I mean, I believe is way more of a football state than North Carolina is, in my opinion.
Now, North Carolina, obviously not much more known as a basketball state. Is that something that you see in terms of the fan bases, in terms of maybe your high school or even any local fan base? Do you see a big difference, and do you expect the difference to be stronger in Tennessee being more of a football state?
I definitely do. Because, people love football, of course, small town. Around here, it's pretty cool. I mean, a bunch of people will show up. I mean, it's nothing like, games at Tennessee, but a bunch of people show up. Everybody gets into it, but I mean, of course, North Carolina, it is a basketball state, so you really know how that goes with everything. And I just really feel like Tennessee. I mean, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
So you're telling us that North Carolina isn't Friday Night Lights down there?
Say that again.
North Carolina isn't Friday Night Lights like we used to see on a TV show or the movie. It's not, we don't have any of that kind of environment on football, high school football. Come on now.
I mean,
I think that says it all, Colby. I think that's a great way to end the interview. Colby Smith, North Carolina, from Reedsville, North Carolina, heading to Tennessee in the fall, part of their number 2 recruiting class. Colby, we'll watch out for you. Remember us here at Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We would love to have you on any other time. The best of luck to you as you move forward, and hope that you and your family stay healthy and safe. And we look forward to seeing you this college football year.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate that.
God bless. Well, I think that judging from what the excitement coming from him, and I think most of these players expect to move forward. With it's hard to say when you go across the country, you see things rising, spiking in a lot of different places in the Southeast and in Texas, Arizona, but so many people have had enough of this, I believe, and some of these athletes too, high school athletes that feel like they're invincible. Most of the people that are suffering from this, it doesn't really affect the younger kids. So I could really see someone coming from high school wanting to play college football. It's kind of being his dream since he started. Kind of like, oh my God, now we have to deal with this. I don't want any delays. I just want to get into it, and the whole recruiting process and all that. So it's very interesting to talk to him, get his kind of point of view on what Tennessee is like. And I mean, as we were looking, the SEC West has absolutely dominated the East, only winning one SEC championship. That was Georgia a couple of years ago. It's been a long time since anybody in the SEC East has been relevant outside of Florida and Georgia.
Yes, indeed. So it is time now. It's 7:40 p.m. We had about 20 minutes before the Wise Guys debut later on. They will be starting up at 8. But right now it is time for our Monday segment.
This is Mark It Up.
All right, Mark, what are we getting into today?
Well, I guess I could introduce myself because usually I am remotely involved in this, but covering for Errol here is my pleasure to do that. I have my own segment already. I'm not here for an hour, and already I got my own segment. But I think one of the most interesting things is going back, as we get into the NFL and the drama of the gridiron and everything that goes with professional sports that we have been missing for so long here as we've watched at home. Did you see any of the decision last night?
I did not.
Yeah, me neither. But I remember what that was like, okay? Because I remember watching it. And how old were you when that happened?
Let's see, that was 2010.
Yeah.
That was that summer. I would have been 14 or 15. I forget which date it happened. Probably 14 because my birthday's in late July.
Right. I mean, I remember everybody thinking LeBron was going to go to maybe L.A. or New York. I mean, Knicks fans were just psyched up.
I thought he was headed to Chicago. I remember predicting that. Yeah.
There were so many different places, and then all of a sudden Miami comes in, and then we have this whole idea of a super team. Chris Bosh decides to come, Dwayne Wade decides to come, and then Miami goes from Dwayne Wade was already there, but having already won a championship in 2006 when I remember that 2006 final. It looked like it was over about halfway through the fourth quarter, Game 3, when it looked like the Heat were going down 3-0. They come back, they win that championship, unexpected, with Pat Riley coming back to get his final ring as a head coach. Now they have what you would think is a dynasty. I remember when they had that party. Remember, like everybody's there and they were dancing, and LeBron is saying, how many championships are we going to win in a row? Only wound up winning 2.
Yeah, they only won 2, and they got upset in one of the biggest upsets I've ever seen against the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, a reversal of 2006.
Yeah, and again, But still, like, even judging it, it was Dirk Nowitzki and a lot of older guys on that team. It wasn't really like they were all in their prime. It wasn't like they had that other team. And let's not forget, they also beat the Thunder to get there, too, who was one of the best teams in the league as well. I remember picking them I think I had them winning it all that year or going to the finals, and I was shocked when Dallas did it. I was happy, though, for Dirk, though.
Absolutely.
At that time. And it was really impressive what he was able to put together, and a lot of those role players able to put together against LeBron. But again, you could also tell the pressure was still on LeBron at that time. And then after that, again, he played well, but he just wasn't good enough for the team. And obviously the Mavericks won, and then after that they won there too, and that's it.
Yeah, and then they lose to the Spurs. Really, they should have lost to the Spurs twice. If you remember.
Kawhi Leonard makes the free throws, right?
Yeah, and Ray Allen hits the three because of the offensive rebound, I believe, by Chris Bosh. If he got it.
It was Chris Bosh. I think it was over. Was it Thiago Splitter? I think it was over.
Yeah, you kind of. I mean, I remember watching that game thinking, oh, well, here we go again. But you don't realize getting through the West back then, when you think of what Dirk had to go through, getting through the Spurs, getting through the Lakers early on in the 2000s, and then a little bit later dealing with Oklahoma, there was always a great team out there in the West. I remember one year, the year Dallas didn't make it with Dirk, when they won like 70 games.
Oh, 2007, they lost to the We Believe Warriors. Yep.
Yeah, one of the only times one lost to an 8.
Yeah,
the year after they won what year after they were in the finals and wound up losing to the Heat.
Yeah, I think the only other one I remember, besides I think there were two others that I remember, one of which was bound to happen because Derrick Rose got hurt for the Bulls, then they lost to the 76ers in 2012.
Right.
The only other one I remember was the Grizzlies over the Spurs in 2010. I think that same year that Dallas won, the Grizzlies beat the Spurs in the first round, and we actually had their play-by-play announcer, Eric Hasseltine, on an interview a couple weeks ago, and he was going through a lot of the adrenaline of those games, broadcasting those games. It was a lot of fun, and again, it was one of the most impressive things I saw because the Spurs were just so good. It seemed like they were unbeatable unless you had those superstars. And that was very impressive in itself. But again, you're right. It rarely happens in the NBA playoffs. And I don't know about you, but I've always advocated for the NBA to adopt more of an NFL playoff style and play 6 teams because think about this. Load management is becoming a big thing in the NBA, So why not reward the players by getting a bye if you do end up getting a 1 or 2 seed? I always thought the NFL playoff format in the NBA would be good for that reason. Keep the series going. Give them give the players the load management they want because a lot of these 8 seeds and 7 seeds are under 500.
Yeah, I mean, what I remember is in '94 when the Sonics just blew out the Nuggets the first 2 games, and Nuggets coming back to win that series, the very first 8 beating 1, and of course the Knicks in '99 going all the way to the finals.
Yes.
But again, they played the Heat, they were perfectly matched up against the Heat. After they lost in '97 with the fight with Charlie Ward and P.J. Brown, '98 they beat them as a 7 seed, '99 they beat them as an 8 seed. And 2000, they beat them. Miami had home field advantage in all of those series, losing a Game 5 in 98, 99, and Game 7 in 2000 at Miami. So that was just because the Knicks matched up so well with Miami. But it usually really doesn't happen, a 1 beating an 8. And I think that's what all the, for the first round now became markedly improved after that happened, where a team like Golden State, which was just, and also ran kind of during the season, and they beat them easy. If you remember that series, they kind of blew them out of those games.
Right.
And that was the end of Avery Johnson, who wound up going to Alabama, and now he's not even at Alabama anymore.
They got Nate Oates now.
Yeah.
From
So
Buffalo,
so I think that watching LeBron and getting back to what we were talking about before about the decision. Okay, when LeBron went to Miami, that was going to be kind of like what Jordan was with the Bulls in the 90s. They were going to be, LeBron himself has been in the finals every year except for last year, going back to 2010. But just the fact that he brought such a change to this new dream team. We can hold out, we can create our own team by sitting out and by all becoming free agents, something I don't think ever would have been done. Imagine Larry Bird coming and saying, hey, Magic, what do you think about no way.
Right.
They wanted to beat each other.
Right. Errol mentions it all the time. Everybody hated each other at that time, so they wanted to keep going with those types of rivalries. And the thing with the NBA is there still wasn't parity to the extent that other sports have. They still had, in the 80s, outside of the Sixers and the Pistons, every title was won by the Lakers or the Celtics. So you didn't really have much parity. Sometimes you had different opponents, sure, but you didn't have much parity. And then in the 90s, obviously, you had Jordan winning 6 titles, and the Rockets in the 2 years Jordan wasn't there winning the other 2. So it's not like you really had much difference when it comes to that. But yeah, you're definitely changing free agency the way it is. And again, a lot of the strict guidelines that we had with tampering back in the day, they're loosened up now. I don't know if they should get rid of the rule completely. I don't know if that's kind of the thing, but it seems like a lot of players are illegally tampering now without us even knowing.
Right. I think another thing I'd like to talk about is getting into the baseball season. Right now, with the agreement ending between the players and the owners. Okay, we all know what happened in '94, and I definitely see that coming to a head and could happen again.
Really?
At the end of because there's so much difference between the two. I mean, they barely agreed during a time of national emergency where everybody kind of can think, hey, let's do the best thing for the country and get back to playing. They still were fighting then over who's more of the victims, the billionaire owners or the millionaire players. And the owners created all of this by paying these guys this money. It's not like the players forced them to pay them all this money. I mean, the owners decided to make that decision. Anytime the owners have tried to cut back and lower salaries, I don't know if you remember, in '87 there was a collusion. They actually were rewarded. The players were rewarded in a courtroom that the owners conspired to collude and to not offer the big-time free agents in '87 big contracts.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Andre Dawson, Andre Scalabro. Andre Dawson wound up coming from the Expos to the Cubs and signed for like half of what he normally would have. Tim Raines actually sat out till May as a free agent, and then he wound up re-signing with the Expos. Wow. So a lot of that was the owners trying to get control of it again, and then it just gets out of control. You pay A-Rod $250 million, you pay Brian Harper all this money. So I mean, it gets absolutely ridiculous. So the owners have no one to blame but themselves.
Yeah, and I think, too, what you're looking at is in a sport without a salary cap, I know they have the luxury tax, but in a sport without a salary cap, you have to anticipate that they were losing some of the same percentages anyway. And this is what I said many times on Twitter about why I was siding with the players for the most part, is that the owners are going to lose a similar percentage per team. If you're a middle market team, a low market team, it's going to be similar percentage lost. And again, I don't think 60%, 70% that the players were asking for was unreasonable. So it was surprising to me in that instance too. So that's why I ended up siding with the players in that instance. So I'm surprised that the players ended up taking this type of deal, but it seems like they really did want to play, which I guess wasn't the case in '94 until obviously they started. What did they start? June of '95, the next season?
No, they wound up starting at the end of April.
Okay.
Because I remember the Mets playing the Rockies in the first game, and I believe it was Dante.
That was the first game at Coors Field.
Yeah, Dante Bichette hitting a walk-off homer of the beleaguered Mets bullpen. It never ends. Yeah.
Against a 2-year expansion franchise in a new state.
Yeah, way to go. That was Dallas Green and company back then. So I think that it's great to have baseball back, but this is kind of like the storm on the horizon. I think that the owners want a salary cap. I think a lot of the reasons you say make sense. And we're going into 17 straight years of record profits for the MLB and these owners. So it's not like, Major League Baseball has taken a step back, I think, as far as the fan base, because not many people watch. If you look at baseball's ratings, it doesn't rate with football. It doesn't rate
No, and I don't think it ever will.
Yeah, so it's not like they can go and say, hey, look at what all the success we're having with the fans. I think, though, as far as the TV contracts, the networks, and some of the money that the fans are spending on jerseys and stuff like that, or attendance really hasn't been lacking either. So they're at a popular spot now. They don't want to go back to where they were in 95, 96, before that home run race in 98, where people take a while to come back to the game. Because if they do that, if they sit out, if they waste any more time, I don't think people are going to come back. There's too many other things for them to do now.
Well, now here's the thing I will counter with, though. Being that a lot of players are getting paid younger right away, we saw it with Acuna, we saw it with Eloy Jimenez.
And Albies.
Albies, yeah. We saw it with a lot of different cases. Do you think that kind of thing would still happen with, again, the majority of these other types of players? Now, the ones getting hindered by this are the veteran players that maybe had past success and aren't getting paid because now general managers are looking at future projections, what it could be, so they're not paying guys as much. That's why guys like Mike Moustakas have lingered in free agency a lot of the time. Now, with that kind of thing happening, could you still see like a whole majority of players striking though too, if they don't like this setup in terms of the season?
I think that the players always have the power because, I mean, if you remember in 95, what they tried to do is put replacement players in, and that did not work. I mean, it eventually got the players back, but the replacement players who were brought in were basically laughed out of the business. And, I mean, the Major League players never really accepted them. You had some guys like Rick Reed sticking around and becoming part of a roster, but they never really forgave them, as far as taking part in that. So the owners can say what they want, but if the players aren't going to negotiate and come back down to where the owners want to, and they won't, and they shouldn't, that's going to create a standoff. And it's kind of who's going to blink first, and it's always going to be the owners because they cannot exist without the players. And you know what? They created the problem themselves.
Well, I also think, too, it's GMs also to an extent. I don't think the owners want to spend any more than what we know them to spend. We know what the high market teams are that'll spend when they get good. We know the high market teams that'll spend even if they're not good. They'll just spend anyway. Mm-hmm. So it also is GMs to an extent too, in terms of what I was saying earlier. They want to pay for future projections. They want to pay for analytics, and a lot of these other players, these older players that might have more power, they may end up losing a little bit of leverage there too. So to an extent, the owners have an advantage in that way, but you're right, it's still going to be the players. And again, I think because of what we were talking about with the NBA earlier, ironically, other players in other sports want to have that kind of power, but it's a little different the way it's set up. Now, like I said, I think baseball still has a lot of issues just because they don't have a salary cap, so it's obvious where these guys are going to go all the time. Whereas, again, the NFL is a salary cap, so there's no obvious free agent destinations. Obviously, there's going to be preferences with good teams and stuff, but good teams change all the time, too, especially in the NFC where there's a lot of parity. So they want to be like basketball players to an extent, but that's going to be harder. And as a result, while somebody else, like we were mentioning earlier with Bryce Harper, he might get $300 million. Some other teammate on the Phillies that maybe could get more ends up getting a discount. So that makes it harder and makes it more top heavy in that instance. So it's interesting that the players union is going to approach it like that too. And you wonder who has the most power there.
Right. And I think and the last thing I'd like to talk about, you guys talked about it earlier on the show, is Cam Newton going to the Patriots. Belichick gets caught with another thing, taping a game between the Bengals and the Browns, was it? Or
no, it was back-to-back weeks. They played the Browns, and they played the Bengals, and I think they practiced with the Browns or something, some joint practice, and they're obviously both in the same state. It was the week before they were playing the Bengals. Maybe they just played the Browns or something like that, but it was caught in those venues.
Okay. I mean, Belichick doing, stretching the rules is nothing new. So a lot of people think he gets a slap on the wrist, but the Patriots have continued excellence. How many straight, the last time they didn't win the AFC East was 2008.
Yeah, the year Brady tore his ACL by Bernard Pollard in the first week of the season.
Right, and then you had the Dolphins winning the division for crying out loud.
On a tiebreaker, too. Remember, the Patriots and Dolphins were both 11-5.
Yeah.
So it took, a division tiebreaker or a conference tiebreaker or something like that.
It did.
I don't remember, but yeah, that was the last time they did not win. Now, do you think the punishment was good? You think it was, or
I think it doesn't matter.
Even as a repeat offender, though.
I don't think it matters. I mean, they could. The only way you really punish New England is if you take away a consistent amount of first-round picks. Taking around a third-round pick in 2021, it don't matter. They're going to replace it within 2 trades anyway.
With compensation picks a lot of the time too. That's why I think too you have to, especially being a repeat offender, maybe at least do a first-round pick. Whether it's this year or whether it's next year or whatever, at least do some level of a first-round pick. Because obviously Belichick will still draft gems anyway. That's what he does, as long as he's coaching there. But that's what's going to end up happening. So at least make it hurt where, again, the Patriots now having to rely on other talents. And I mentioned this in the beginning of the show when we were talking about Cam Newton. It seems like Belichick is doing different things than what he normally does. Look at the last 2 drafts. I mean, they had, or not this year, but the 2 drafts before that. They drafted a running back, which they never do in the first round. I think the last one before Michelle was Lawrence Maroney. And then a receiver,
that's right.
Especially a big-bodied receiver like N'Keal Harry. That's not normally what they like. So it sells that Belichick's changing his philosophy. But still, again, they could have been caught a little more than just a third-round pick for being a repeat offender.
They always seem to get slapped on the wrist, though. So it really doesn't matter either way. They are what they are. Newton being in the AFC, though, I think is really going to be interesting because everyone thought, okay, New England's taking a step back. Well, you look at Newton, younger than Brady. Obviously his heyday, 15-1, 2015. He hasn't been bad the last couple of years. If you look at his overall numbers, his touchdowns to pick or more as far as touchdowns, throws for over 3,000 yards in every year, but was 6 and 8 in 2 of those years. And I think that last year's injury problem maybe is something to look at when you think of his ability to stay healthy. One thing you never had to worry about with Brady outside of that 1 year was if he was going to miss games.
Yeah, sometimes he got hurt in practice, but that was really like the Patriots, they like to twist the injury reports all the time too. So Brady might have been listed as questionable, but he really wasn't anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that how is Newton's going to play in the AFC East against the Jets, against the Bills, who most people think are going to win the division next year. At least they're the favorite. Buffalo is the so-called favorite in the AFC.
Errol makes fun of when we had the NFL Network people on, he makes fun of them as being the Bills Network because everyone was hyping them up.
Absolutely. I'm right with him there. I do not think, I think the Bills are getting a lot of press that they deserved at the end of the year last year, but I don't think that they're going to take advantage. I still think the Bills have many, many holes on offense, starting with Allen. I know Errol likes him a little better than I do, but
I do too, yeah.
I think that he's way too inconsistent. He throws for a way too low of a percentage in today's game, and they don't have as many weapons running the ball that they used to have. And I think that even getting a wide receiver, if he doesn't get him the ball, it's not really going to make a difference. So I think that it'll eventually pay off for the Patriots if Newton stays healthy. But either way, we're out of time.
Yes.
8 o'clock, we got the Wise Guys coming up.
Yes, the Wise Guys, the debut of the Wise Guys. It is Trey Larkins, Clarence Nixon, and Jordan Dawson. They are a show from Cincinnati. They will be debuting right as soon as we get off. So, Mark, thanks for joining us for this hour. And
yes.
We had your segment, and we had Colby Smith on the phone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and we will see you again next Monday.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.